I think the most frustrating thing was at 27-14 or 27-13 that we didn't keep that margin or grow it. They worked their way back into the game with some defending that we know we can do better, and I'm sure that we will do better. I think Andy Farrell does an unbelievably good job, and I think one of the things about it is that when you do make personnel changes and then you make personnel changes off the bench, we had guys making slightly different decisions. We got a bit disconnected, and it allowed them probably a fair bit of latitude to score tries, and they scored some good ones.
Joe, what was the final two games to take stock of what you have and who's there and who's not?
Yeah, it's great. I think the way that the championship is run, it is great. You know, sometimes you get drawn with a really big game in the middle week, and either side of that, it gives you a good preparation window where you can get a game plan together, get clarity about what you're going to do, and then it also gives you, after that big game, a little bit of recovery time.
What particularly pleased you about the tries and how you got it? Was it stuff that you worked on in training that had come to fruition out on the pitch?
Yeah, I think some of it was from set plays. You would have seen, you know, when Keith went through, or a couple of the other ones. Some of it came from just rolling our sleeves up and having options on attack. A couple of times I felt that we maybe kept it too tight for too long, and we could have maybe gone to the edge. But they're kind of looking for that as well. They fill the field with their defence, and if you make more than two passes, that's exactly what they're trying to talk you into, because that's when they're more likely to get you. Probably the biggest frustration was that we got the ball ripped off us twice in that first half, when we really had some fantastic pressure on and had to go back 70 metres to start again.
Joe, what did you think of Johnny's decision to run that penalty later on?
Look, I back him 100%. You know, he felt that they could score, and we can't get too much closer than what we did without scoring. Yeah, at the time, or in retrospect, he might look to kick that goal as Connor did toward the end, to give that 10-point margin and take a bit of pressure off. But he really felt it was something that he'd said at half-time. He said, when we're getting penalties, they're turning their back, so let's all be ready. And, you know, to be honest, I love that about Johnny. He's always looking for opportunity. And I'm pretty sure the crowd enjoyed it as well, because I heard a hell of a yell when he tapped it. Not sure I was yelling with the crowd, but you know, I think it's great that he seizes the moment that he does.
The Welsh ability to open you up, particularly out wide, is that a real concern ahead of the start?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, with the runners they have, the Stuart Hoggs, the Tommy Seymours, the like of Sean Maitland, are very, very quick athletes. It's always a concern. I think we helped them a little bit. We didn't stay connected. We had guys doing different things, and I think we can repair a lot of that over the next 2 weeks, and hopefully, you know, it was frustrating against Italy. It's frustrating again today, albeit with lots of positives about, you know, 8 tries and 5 tries. You know, what we are creating is keeping us safe from losses, but we've got to do better than conceding 3 tries 2 weekends in a row.
Joe, how pleased were you with some of your younger, less experienced players today?
You've got to be a little bit excited about the likes of James Ryan and Andrew Porter. What a huge stage to come into, and replacing 2 huge players for us with Tyke Furlong and Ian Henderson, and Chris Farrell obviously getting man of the match. It's exciting to see that as well. When, you know, I think it's pretty well documented that Jared Payne is unavailable, that Robbie Henshaw, that Gary Ringrose, and you've got a guy who steps up and grabs man of the match. And I think he was really well supported by Bundy Aki out there, who's got a handful of caps, and Jacob Stockdale has got a handful of caps and 8 tries. He certainly has a nose for the try line.
Rory, 3 from 3. What will you look at, you know, in this break? Like plenty of pros and few cons as well within the last 3 games. What will you be looking at before Scotland come here?
Yeah, I think we'll look at excuse me, a game that we probably at times had some of the best attack that we've had, certainly this season, and at times we got a little bit narrow in defence, and we sort of let them, and we probably got narrow because a few times we smashed in defence, and just a couple of times we leaked a few yards, and then it's hard to get your width. So, look, within the game there's a lot to be really happy with, but as always, and we talked right after the French game that we'd have to get better week on week and game on game in this championship, and I think by and large we've done that with these 3 games, and now we'll look next week, and I think it's important that we use next week obviously to freshen up a bit, but to try to get ahead so that you don't have to cram everything into a test week, because I think the more you can sort of get stuff done and use this week with no game to get ahead of it, then the more you can sort of be ahead of the game coming into the Scotland match.
Rory, in relation to your ultimate goal, which is obviously winning the Grand Slam, what was said after the game in the dressing room?
Look, I think it's, while we maybe didn't necessarily set out to get maximum points, we always know that when the opportunities arise, and if we get ourselves in a position to take those, that we do. So I think to come out of that game with maximum points, and look, Wales were coming here having won one, lost one, so they knew that their championship was probably in the balance. And when you get a team that's desperate to win, sometimes it can be very, very difficult to break down, and it proved that at times, but at the same time, to get the maximum points out of that is something that we're really happy with. And we don't look beyond the next game, and it's boring and it's a bit cliched, but ultimately that is what is really good about this group, is that we don't look. Obviously you have long-term goals and everyone sort of knows where you want to go, but it is all about the next game and how we can now recover in order so we can prepare for it.
Joe, you mentioned that Sean O'Brien could have been in a shout for today's game, but how is he fixed for Scotland? What are your chances?
Yeah, I think you would have seen Gary Ringrose obviously last night. He's looking pretty good, and Sean O'Brien is also on the cusp of probably making next week's game, hopefully. And now, the thing is, you're not going to rush players back, and I think that's one of the things that we've decided, even with Tig and Ian. I think Ian probably could have played today, but we didn't want to wait until today to find out if he came through a warm-up and have that destabilise our preparation. Therefore, we won't be taking any risks. We'll be chatting to those 2 guys amongst others, because we want the group to stay nice and large and competitive to keep building forward.
Joe, when you win the way you did today, scoring 5 tries and getting a bonus point, does that give players something extra? Do you see a kind of growth in them again on the paddock, or even next time they're out there, they might get a pass that they mightn't have before, they might make a break that they mightn't have before? Do you get kind of something untangible after a win like today?
Yeah, you may do, but we're really focused on tangibles. We're pretty pragmatic about making sure that we get what we get right, and that makes a difference. So I totally agree that confidence, it's a fickle friend, and it's more likely to befriend you when you've opened a team up a number of times. You get confidence from that. When you've decided to make a pass and it's been successful, there were a few that weren't so successful, and we'll just keep working away on those. But certainly confidence, it does get a bit of a boost. But I think it's a few in a row that we've managed to put together, and that builds a bit of momentum and confidence in any group.
Rory, are you feeling that as the captain, that confidence and momentum that Joe has mentioned is building, is growing, because you've had a lot of wins, and you've had them kind of coming through different styles, France to Italy to this?
Yeah, I think it's something that we are good. We're adaptable, and I think we know we can win games in whatever way we need to. But look, this group, and sometimes the beauty of having guys that are a little bit less experienced is that they also don't have the stigma attached of losing and being in various positions. Like more than a score down against Wales, and knowing how difficult it can be to get that back. And when you get young guys in there that no matter what the scoreline is, they just step up, like James and Ports especially, just step up and they just want to carry. They just want to get us back into the game, and it sort of leaves it it's a very easy group to manage because they all expect to win, they all want to win, and they all have put in a lot of hard work. Obviously over the last 4 weeks, but more than that, and it is very exciting, and it's important now that we move that in the right direction. We know, like I keep going back to the original points, you have to get better week on week in this championship.
Joe, Warwick Ashton was being less than sincere, I suspect, when he said of the Irish team today. They moved the ball brilliantly well and they were so exciting. How would you react to that?
Look, I played with Getz. I've known him for a long time, and we've been sparring partners for a while at the same time. I would offer the same thing. I thought they were pretty exciting. I thought we helped them be exciting sometimes, which isn't something we're trying to do at all. But I think, other people make assessments. I wouldn't say that I look as much at the performance of our opponents once the game is done. I look at our performance, and the performance I'm interested now is the Calcutta Cup and seeing what Scotland and England do, because as Rory said, it's all about going forward in this competition. So we're going to look forward to that. And I had a chat to Rob Howley before the game. He's a top man as well as being a really good coach, and it's great to have those relationships. But it's a bit like when Conor O'Shea and Sergio a couple of weeks ago said, "Oh, look, Ireland are going really well, and they're hard to beat." But really, you have to move on from that pretty quickly. As much as sometimes it's nice to get that little confidence boost.
Joe, what's the situation with Keith Errol? He came off around the arm. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's good.
Chris Farrell, what was it like to play with Chris Farrell out there? He seemed to provide a lot of go-forward ball. Appreciate by the forward.
Yeah, no, he did. But probably the biggest thing, and the thing that sometimes you don't see, is just when you're lining up as a forward, maybe outside Johnny, you can hear him out the back. He's always talking. He's always giving you options, which sometimes you can play. Other times it leaves the defence a little bit softer to go through because he is an option out the back. And I think that was probably one of the most impressive things about him. Like, I obviously from his time at Ulster know how big he is, how good a carrier is, and how good his handling is, but his communication out there was superb.
Joe, the hype's obviously going to ramp up even more by the Grand Slam decider in Twickenham. How do you keep a level head with this squad?
Yeah, it is actually a lot easier for us than it is externally, probably, because we do live in a bit of a bubble through the championship, and every Tuesday we train in the morning and players leave Tuesday afternoon, and that's when they might be exposed to a little bit more of the hype, because they have effectively Wednesdays. It's a down day. They go back home and have a day off, and it allows them to freshen up. And so we try to break the rugby focus into early part of the week, later part of the week, and once we're in those two parts of the week, it's relatively easy. This week is a little bit more awkward. We break up on Tuesday, and then they get a few days off, and then we'll come in and work again. But in the early part of the week, they won't get too excited about what we've done, because we've got a few things planned for them. You may well see at the open session that they have to roll their sleeves up and work hard again. And see, Bestie, he's up for that. A few of the boys have already cried off, but Bestie's up for it.
Okay, guys, leave it there. Thanks.